We're gonna go on a little trip across Newfoundland today. I'll be talking about a few places even many Newfoundlanders don't know about. I'm gonna start on the western portion of the province in the town of Deer Lake and talk about a few places heading east. Deer Lake is a pretty important town in Newfoundland. There's an airport there. People who fly into Deer Lake for tourism purposes are probably thinking about heading up the highway a little bit to Grossmorn National Park. When you come out of the airport and you jump in your car and you're heading up toward the park and the fjords at Western Brook Pond or the Tablelands or the beautiful places that you should see, stop along the way at the Insectarium. It's basically a museum of bugs. There's a butterfly room. You got all kinds of exotic little creepy crawlies, but they're all in glass encasement, except for the butterflies. The butterflies, you walk into a room and they're fluttering freely around you. It's educational. Don't let that stop you from enjoying it. And a variety of different types of little bugs. Big bugs, huge bugs from all over the world there. The Insectarium is considered one of the best museums in Newfoundland and Labrador, and I don't doubt that at all. It's been open for well over 20 years now, probably pushing 25 years. I only learned about it within the last couple of years. So just one of those places that it's a fantastic little pit stop or main event, depending on what you want to do. There's probably thousands of species there. Many of them are alive, a lot of them are like pinned up on the board, so they're not alive, I hope. It's not the type of place that you want to go if you have an aversion to creepy crawlies, right? But if you can handle it, you know, everything from the great big spiders with the fur on them to bee colonies and ant colonies and tree bugs, all that kind of stuff. I believe it's open seasonally, so probably, you know, from April or May through to like September, October. So heading up to Grossmorn from Deer Lake, you will head up the Viking Trail, which is essentially the highway that leads up the Great Northern Peninsula. So it's not far from the airport. If you leave the airport and you head up that trail, just keep your eye out for a barn-looking building, and it is the Insectarium. You kind of can't miss it, but heading north on that highway, it'll be on your right-hand side. Definitely worth paying a visit, as long as you can stomach bugs. Just down the road, a little further from Grand Falls, Windsor, is the town of Botwood. I knew nothing about Botwood. I knew it existed. I knew it was in somewhere around central Newfoundland. Christmas last year, my son received a book as a present about the Murals of Botwood. Didn't know this is a thing. I think the official number that I've seen on a few different sources say there's 13 murals, but I'm sure I counted 15 or 16 or 17, I don't know how many, but definitely more than 13. So there may be even some that aren't part of the official mural collection. And these things are beautiful. It's amazing what these people have put together over the last few years. There are depictions of town history, things that are specific to Botwood. There are general tributes to the military, to aviation. I didn't know anything about this. When I talk about secret hidden gems around the province, this definitely qualifies. I'd like to see this become one of those places that everybody just knows, but yeah, I didn't know anything about it at all. So the main street of the town is basically covered in these beautiful murals on the sides of buildings, and you have smallish ones. They're all sides of buildings, so none of them are small compared to some of the larger ones. One of them is basically the entire side of this huge industrial building, and it's a beautiful work. It's not big for the sake of being big. The whole mural tells a story. Anyway, it's huge, and they all tell a story. They're all basically little story pieces that happen that be colorful and beautiful. The artists, some of them I understand are locals to Botwood, or at least locals to Newfoundland, and artists from all over the world bringing the talent. So you're back on the highway and you pass Botwood. And you have Gander, which was made relatively famous. We probably all know the story of the town of Gander on 9/11. Just outside of Gander, like minutes outside of the town, just off the highway, there's the Silent Witness Memorial, and this is a really moving place to visit. So what happened? In 1985, there was a plane of American servicemen heading from their station in Egypt back to, I believe it was Kentucky, but the United States in any case, and then from there they would basically be going home for the holidays. And they stopped in Gander for refueling, and when they took off again, Within minutes of takeoff, the plane came down. There were 256 people on that plane, and they all lost their lives heading home for the holidays. The actual memorial garden and the lack of trees in the area, you can kind of imagine that this is exactly where the plane came down, and then the trees that were taken out by the plane never grew back. So it's really a moving place to be. Please let me know, correct me if I'm wrong, if that's not exactly why the area is cleared out, if it was just sort of maintained that way over the years. But it's hard to be there and not imagine this is exactly where the plane came down. A hard place to be and not feel emotional. The names of all the passengers are on a plaque. There are lots of different tributes to individuals. When you come out of the town of Gander and you drive for 5-10 minutes and you drive down an access road to reach the memorial, it's just outside of this town. It's so like a plane must have went up and immediately came back down. But probably because it was so full of fuel, the crash ignited the plane and it was a complete disaster. That's a really important piece of Newfoundland history. It is a beautiful tribute to the people on the plane. Heading east, the road detours to Gambo, and just outside of Gambo, that's where Joey Smallwood has Joey's Lookout. And just as an honorable mention, this isn't really a secret to anybody who's been on the highway, stop at Joey's Lookout. Okay, Joey's Lookout is beautiful. A view from there that is absolutely beautiful, but there's nothing special about an amazing view in Newfoundland because you got an amazing view almost everywhere you go. So that, as beautiful as the view is at Joey's Lookout, that's not the reason why you need to stop at Joey's Lookout. You gotta stop and get your picture taken with that giant billboard that's just Joey's head and it says Joey's Lookout. And man, the guy was polarizing in Newfoundland, and some people love him, some people didn't. I know how I feel about him, but my goodness, he knew how to honor himself. There's a parking lot, there's probably a hot dog vendor, there's little concessions around maybe, but get a picture taken with Joey's head at Joey's Lookout. Highly recommended. It's just such a weird man. Say cheese. When you hit Goobies, head down to the Burin Peninsula. A couple of really special places that I particularly enjoyed. First and foremost, the town of Grand Bank. Towns like Garnish, you got Fortune with a ferry to France's, the St. Pierre-Miquelon ferry. And these places are definitely worth stopping in, taking a look around, grabbing some breakfast or coffee, and taking in the history of these, historically speaking, fishing towns. You have Golden Sands Resort, beautiful little beach, little like narrow, but still beautiful on a lake. The secret gem, the thing that I think is going to become very popular as it becomes more well known around Newfoundland, is the Smuggler's Cove Roadhouse. It's kind of like an Old West style biker type of hangout, and it is made up of a pub restaurant, which we really enjoyed the food. The service was great when we were there this past August. And it's a place where they hold events during the summer months, and they have an area where it's kind of like an Old West town constructed on this area where they have storefronts, that like sort of false storefronts, but you can see, an Old West laundry, post office, I believe there's a tannery, or different types of Old West style shops on a boardwalk that kind of goes around. They hold concerts and special events there in the summer months, and they open those storefronts up and sell merchandise or maybe some kind of concessions of different types. The concept was started by Tom Hollett, who used to own Jiffy Cabs and unfortunately passed away in a motorcycle accident in 2016. So the idea stemmed from Mr. Hollett. He decided he wanted to head back to his hometown of Burin on the Burin Peninsula and build this concept, this idea into reality. He got a lot of work done before his tragic passing, but his family and friends rallied around the idea and they kept it going. And right now you actually have a pretty spectacular place. It's worth the trip down to Burin for so many reasons. This being, in my opinion, the coolest reason to actually travel down the Burin Peninsula. And you can kind of feel it when you travel around the province. You have these signs that tourism is really taking hold, right? And this idea for the town of Burin, kind of in the middle of the peninsula, has the potential to act as an anchor for the industry in general, in my opinion. I'm not no expert on tourism, but I like what I like. I was blown away by what I saw at the Roadhouse. If you've reached the end of this video, I want to sincerely thank you. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel to see more videos along these lines. You can check out the Bonita Vista video or the Southwest Coast video right here. If you didn't like it, at least thanks for watching the video to the end. Beyond that, I just want to wish you a great day. Thanks for watching. See you soon.